From the moment he saw her tiny hands trembling, clutching a torn diary like it was the last piece of her world, Alexander Grant, the ruthless CEO whose name echoed in boardrooms and stock markets, felt something he hadn't in years, a shiver in his heart. He was used to power, wealth, endless meetings, and decisions that shaped empires. Yet, in that quiet hospital corridor, as a little girl looked up at him with pleading eyes and whispered, "Can you read this for me? It's very important," something cracked inside him. He didn't know it yet, but her request would unravel everything he thought he knew about life, love, and himself. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected encounters, please take a moment to like this video, share it, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to this channel. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories to light. Alexander Grant was not the kind of man people approached lightly. His name was synonymous with ambition, his empire worth billions, and his demeanor cold and untouchable. He had earned his place at the top by working harder and faster than anyone else, but in doing so, he had left behind pieces of himself, a broken marriage, a son who barely called, and an emptiness that no amount of money could fill. He buried those wounds under deadlines, deals, and skyscrapers built on his name. Life was predictable, until that night. He had been at the hospital for a business-related visit, signing off on a donation wing named after him, when he noticed her. A little girl no older than 7, sitting alone on a worn plastic chair with a diary hugged to her chest. Her hair was messy, her shoes scuffed, and her cheeks carried the traces of dried tears. Everyone around seemed too busy to notice her, but something about the way her small frame shivered in the cold made Alexander pause. She caught his gaze, stood, and walked toward him as though the world had chosen him for her plea. "Can you read this for me? It's very important." Her voice was barely a whisper, fragile, almost breaking. She held the diary out like it contained the universe. Alexander hesitated. He wasn't used to children, wasn't used to people needing him beyond money or signatures. But something compelled him to take the diary. Its cover was worn, its pages filled with careful, handwritten entries. As he opened it, the first words he read shook him. "If someone finds this, and if I'm not around anymore, please tell my daughter Lily that she was my greatest joy. I'm sorry I couldn't stay." It was the diary of a mother who had fought long and hard but was losing her battle to illness. Each page was a blend of love, pain, and hope. She had written letters to her daughter, memories she wanted to leave behind, and dreams she would never see. Alexander's throat tightened as he read silently. He had been through countless contracts and negotiations, but never words like these, words that carried the raw weight of a mother's love, and the cruelty of time slipping away. The little girl, Lily, watched him with eyes wide and brimming. "The mommy used to read it to me," she whispered. "But she's too sick now. She said someone would finish it for her." And there, in that sterile hospital corridor, the billionaire CEO found himself sitting on the floor beside a child, reading aloud a mother's diary. Each entry was more painful than the last, describing simple joys, Lily's first steps, her favorite lullaby, the way her laugh sounded like bells. And then, the harder truths, the loneliness of raising her alone, the fear of leaving her behind, the wish that someone kind would hold her hand when she couldn't anymore. Alexander's voice faltered, but Lily clutched his sleeve and whispered, "Please don't stop." So he didn't. That moment changed everything. What started as a reluctant act of kindness became a nightly ritual. Every evening after work, Alexander would return to the hospital, and Lily would be waiting with the diary. They would read together, sometimes laughing at the silly stories her mother had written, sometimes crying quietly when the pages spoke of fears too heavy for a child's heart. As the days passed, Alexander found himself thinking less about mergers and profits, and more about the little girl with eyes too wise for her age. He learned that her mother, Emily, was a single parent who had worked tirelessly to provide for her daughter, even as her illness worsened. She had no family left, no one to turn to. The diary was her way of leaving behind a voice for Lily, so she would never feel truly alone. For Alexander, the story was painfully familiar. His own mother had died young, leaving him with a father who drowned himself in business and never looked back. He had grown up craving the tenderness Lily was now losing. Reading Emily's words reopened wounds he had long buried, but it also gave him something he hadn't felt in years: purpose. The hospital staff began noticing the change. The CEO who once walked with bodyguards and arrogance now sat cross-legged on the floor, holding a child's hand. He brought books, toys, even arranged for Lily's favorite meals. He started staying late, sometimes until she fell asleep, the diary resting beside her. But life is never simple. As Emily's condition worsened, the inevitable loomed closer. One night, Alexander found himself reading the last entry aloud. It was dated just a week earlier. "If today is the last time I can hold your hand, my Lily, please know you are braver than you think, stronger than you feel, and loved more than words can carry. And if, by some miracle, someone reads this to you, please let them know they have given me peace, that I did not leave you alone." Tears streamed down Alexander's face as he closed the diary. Lily crawled into his lap, sobbing quietly. And for the first time in decades, Alexander held someone as though his life depended on it. That night, Emily passed away. Lily's world shattered, but she wasn't entirely alone. Alexander stayed. He handled the funeral, stood by Lily's side, and promised her she would never be forgotten. In the days that followed, something extraordinary happened. The man who had built towers of steel and glass chose instead to build a life around a little girl's fragile heart. He became her guardian, not out of duty, but out of love. The boardrooms were still there, the business still thrived, but his evenings belonged to Lily. He would read not just the diary, but new books, stories filled with hope. He enrolled her in school, attended her plays, sat in the front row cheering louder than anyone, and slowly, the ice around his heart melted completely. Years passed, and Lily grew under his care, confident, kind, and radiant. The diary remained on her bedside table, a sacred reminder of the love that had shaped her and the kindness of a stranger who became family. Alexander too changed. He found joy not in numbers, but in moments, braiding Lily's hair before school, helping with homework, hearing her laughter fill the mansion that had once felt like an empty prison. One evening, when Lily was a teenager, she asked him, "Why did you stop that day, in the hospital, to read my mom's diary?" Alexander smiled faintly, his eyes misty. "Because once, long ago, I was a little boy who wished someone had stopped for me." If this story has touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your engagement means more than you know. It helps us keep telling stories of hope, love, and second chances. And before we close, here's a special request. Comment below with one thing you are grateful for today. Sometimes gratitude is the greatest story we can write for ourselves. Because in the end, it wasn't just a little girl's diary that changed a millionaire CEO forever. It was the reminder that no empire, no wealth, no success is greater than love, and the courage to be there for someone when they need it most.